Uh,
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to episode 6. This episode, we are going to be discussing gut health and how what you eat can have an effect on how you feel and how you mentally feel. Um, I've definitely experienced a roller coaster of these thoughts and emotions depending on, what mindset I'm in, social environments, things like that. Sarah, what's your thoughts on like gut health with your relationship with food?
Um, so I think the first thing to say, and it'll probably tie up all of our points, is that everybody is so different. So what works for, say, me or for one of you girls could be different for somebody else. So I'd say that's like the first thing, that it's kind of learning your own body, isn't it? And what works for you. So my kind of experience of it, I would say, um, was I went through a stage where I felt like I was crashing all the time. Like I felt like I was eating so much, but I was always hungry. And I would say it was down to, again, the choice of foods that I was eating. So I went through a stage where I'd wake up in the morning and I'd think, oh, oats. All bodybuilders, fitness people have oats for breakfast. I'll have oats for breakfast. Then after an hour, I'm thinking, God, I'm starving. But all these fitness influencers say, oh, oats are the best thing. They keep you full till lunch. Now I'm absolutely starving. And then I'd eat, say, like a cereal bar. And then after an hour, be starving again. And I felt like all day I was eating constantly, not having much gaps between eating, but I was always hungry. Um, and then it was comes down to all you're thinking about is food, thinking, God, what am I going to eat next? I'm absolutely starving. I'm in this meeting, my belly's rumbling, I'm starving, I don't know what to eat. Um, and quite quickly, food became kind of the thing I was thinking about all the time. Like, well, I can't go on that thing. It's going to last 2 hours. I'm going to be starving. How am I going to do that? Um, and it's taken a lot of learning, but for me, I've realized that I need to be eating quite high fats throughout the day, and that seems to really work for me. So if I have porridge in the morning, I need to be putting peanut butter or seeds, things like that in with it. And then I seem to be to feel so much better for it. I feel like I've got more energy throughout the day. I'm not having those slumps because fats take longer for your body to digest than carbs do. Um, so I'd say that's the biggest thing for me. It's been kind of experimenting. And obviously your protein is really important throughout your day for keeping you feeling full. But even with protein and carbs, I still feel quite hungry. So I've had spent a lot of time trialing different things. But I'd say high fats are what work for my body, which might be different for somebody else. But it sounds quite corny to say it, but I do genuinely feel like it's learning that about my body has changed my life in a lot of ways, because I'm not conscious of food all the time now. I'm not always starving. I feel like I've got like a good balance through the day. Um, yeah, I don't know if that makes sense, but I would say
Yeah,
it genuinely finding the right foods for you and finding what works for your body is genuinely life changing in that respect, because it's
mm,
taken my life away from constantly thinking about food and thinking about, right, I need to always have loads of snacks for me because I'm going to feel starving. I'm going to, whatever, to be in a lot more comfortable, and my hormones and everything just feels a lot better. Um, and that kind of goes against what you hear all the time when it's like, oh, drop your fats down, don't go for your fats, they're not good for you. And actually, that's exactly what my body needed and what's worked for me. So yeah, hope that makes sense. What about you girls?
mm. It
Yeah,
does make sense. And I think just going on the back of what you said as well, it's about like having that awareness and how your body and mind like responds to different foods. People that skip breakfast in the morning, like I can't get my head around it because I'm starving as soon as I wake up, and I know that to get me through, to like lunchtime or even to sort of mid morning, and sometimes I'll maybe have like a yogurt and fruit like mid morning or something like that. But I need to have, if I have oats, it's like you said, when I was just having oats on their own, it was like I'm still hungry, but like now I often have like peanut butter or like half a banana, like some seeds to fill it out a little bit more, or even like bulking up my meals with things like fruit, veg, like salad, fiber, or like that's probably something that I learned along the way. I was just having like a bit of protein, bit of fats, bit of carbs, but then I wasn't adding any like fiber or nuts or seeds or anything, that those things that do make a massive difference and obviously do make you feel sort of fuller for longer. And I can definitely feel it if I've had a bit of a day where I've been in a massive rush and perhaps I'm like underprepared and I've not made the same choices as perhaps I usually would, I can feel that in myself. It's kind of like, when you have like a bit of a sluggish day, you just reach for the quickest thing because I don't know, maybe you've been busy or you've not got around to it or whatever. I feel that in myself at the end of the day. Like sometimes I'm tired, I'll get headaches. Like if I've not fueled my body properly, that massively affects like my mood, how I feel, your hormones as well, like you said earlier. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I absolutely love that. And like Sarah said, everyone is different. However, the thing that we've got in common as a group is that we've taken time to listen, reflect, and work on it. And I think that's where people don't kind of do the hard work. When you're eating the quicker snacks, the less nutritional snacks, and you're like, why am I always hungry? Why am I always hungry? But you're not actually asking yourself an internal question. You're just reaching for the stars and saying, why am I always hungry? Like someone's going to give you this answer, not actually looking, what are my actions? What are my choices? Am I doing fasted workouts in the morning and then having a breakfast bar and a protein shake? Well, that's obviously not giving you the amount of, nutrition that you need in the time period. And I think that everyone, like you say, is different. But without, I don't know whether it might be journaling about it or reflecting, talking to your coach. And it's going to be different at different times of the month. It's going to be different times of the seasons throughout the year. Like absolutely, everyone's reaching for yogurt and fruit, but they're not doing that in winter months, are they? Things like that. But yeah, that reflection, or else you're never going to answer those questions. And getting feedback from your body and from your mind. And I think that one thing I've always taken from the feelings where I've made choices where I feel like really stodgy after a meal, or, if we talk more about of the choices that we're not happy with, whenever I've ever felt like that, whether it be like a buffet or a takeaway or yeah, carvery, whatever. Mainly when the food is free. Yeah. When you've overindulged, taking reflection on like, actually, how do I feel about that? What can I do better in those circumstances? And for example, I may have mentioned it before, but I went to a good few weddings the year after COVID. I think I went to like 6 weddings. And the first wedding that I went to, I went proper in on the evening banquet because the weddings are such a long day and it's not something that you regular do. It's something
Yeah.
you do regular. I was starving. I didn't take no prep with me. And oh my belly at the end, I didn't, consume a mass amount, but my belly at the end of the day just felt awful because all the chemicals, everything just all a lot. So I was eating quickly, you've got a bit of alcohol thrown in there as well. And I felt awful after the end of this wedding. I actually wanted to go to bed quite early. So then, like the next time I went to the wedding, I was like, right, I'm going to have an apple on the way. I know that the meals around this time, I'm going to take a protein bar for whatever. And then we was all in the waiting area and I just whipped this little protein bar out and everyone's like, and I'm like, well, and you've got to keep learning and preparing yourself. And that's just a little bit of an example, but I think that's where reflection is key.
I think that's so important though, because you've obviously got through experience that self-awareness of, going to these social events, knowing what it's like when you're not able to fuel your body in the way that you personally want to. And then next time you've done that different, regardless of what other people may have said about that. And it's like, well, no, I'm, prioritizing me and this is what I want to do and my choices. And you've gone away and and done that, which is a really good example. I think sometimes as well, I think for people starting out that might be listening to this, sometimes I always think it's a good idea to almost like audit their diet in a way, even if it's just for a couple of weeks, so they can start to see, you know, what meals am I having, what might I be lacking, are there certain times of day or certain days of the week where I'm recognizing that I'm binging a little bit more, or that these particular foods or drinks like make me bloat, like becoming more aware of, because if you're not, how do you ever know how to fix things and make it better? You've got to know what that starting point is. There's some foods that I have that make me bloat. Well, now I know to avoid them. There's some foods for me that trigger my migraines. Had I not have taken that time to sort of sit back and reflect and keep a bit of a food diary, not forever, but just for the short term, to start to recognize how those foods are affecting my body, whether that's in a good or a negative way.
And I think it's important as well to say, though, that sometimes it is worth it. Just have it, like, I know if I have a Chinese takeaway, I'm probably going to have bellyache after it. But I bloody love a Chinese takeaway.
Me
and
too.
Again, and it is important to say as well that sometimes, like, we're aiming for consistency, say 80% of the time, and it is okay to step away from that. And I know I'm not going to feel great after a Chinese takeaway. And I know it's not going to be the thing that makes me feel my best, but in other ways it does. Because I really love it. And I think it's taking that moment as well, isn't it, to consider, right, do you know what? I haven't had a Chinese takeaway in a few weeks, and actually it's what I really want, and that's fine. But then also being able to say, no, it's not what I want today, because I know I'm not going to feel that good after it. And I'm gonna make a different choice, which is going to make me feel better. I know I'll train better over the weekend, or I know that I'll have more energy, and kind of being able to make that decision and say, do you know what, it is worth it today, or no, it's not worth doing that today. And that's quite an important bit to learn as you go along, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think it comes back, and we've probably made this point across multiple videos, it's that being able to eat intuitively, isn't it? Like being in control of your decisions when you choose and decide to eat and drink, whatever that might be. Because like you say, like I love a takeaway from the next person. Do I have it every day of the week? No, because I know it's not going to make me feel great. And as well, it's like, if I'm eating those foods all the time, I know typically that makes me break out and my skin's not very nice. Like all these other things that it affects. Sleep. Oh my God, if I go on a night out and I go to bed, my sleep is so broken. It doesn't stop me from doing it because I don't do it that often. But I know when I do, I'm like, God, I know I'm going to be tired tomorrow. I'm going to have like broken sleep. I get like heart palpitations when I drink, like drink alcohol. Like I'm waking up every hour on the hour. But I don't do it that often. So it's just, being more intuitive and being more aware, isn't it?
That's where when Sarah says, like, it's the risk to reward of is it worth it? And I think there's a fine balance, because if you restrict your favorite foods, you're more likely when they do arise to go in on it. So, for example, if you absolutely love, I don't know, that Biscoff or a certain cookie or whatever, you're nodding, sorry, if you eliminate that and say, right, I'm not having it in the house, and, you know, get real strict, as soon as an emotional impact comes, you then go OTT, then you feel like rubbish. And that's how the gut health has an effect on your mindset, because you associate that food with feeling bloated. Now, if you was to say, I'm having a cookie every single day, by 3 weeks, you'd be like, right, okay, I'm done with cookies now. I need to eliminate something else. And I have definitely rode that process. And then you're not idolizing that food as much, and then you don't go OTT. Especially people with like you say, Chinese, Indian, because it's not something that you regularly have and you quite idolize it. It's not always the best because you put it up there as something amazing, go in on it, and then feel terrible, where actually it'd be better if people started saying, right, it's Tuesday night, I'm going to have a Chinese, but when it comes, I'm going to meal prep from it, and I'm going to have it for today and tomorrow's dinner. enjoy it twice rather than having bellyache and thinking, right, I'm not going to have that for another 4 months or whatever that looks like.
I'm the same with crisps. Are like I could sit and eat bags of crisps all day long. Like, but because I'll literally have a bag of crisps every single day. Like today, I had Quavers. Like, as long as I have a bag of crisps every day, it takes away that, oh, well, I've not had crisps all week, so now I need to sit on a Saturday and eat a multi-pack of whatever. Like, it just takes away that urge, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Definitely.
absolutely. I think we'll probably do another episode on this and kind of like dig a little bit deeper. And if anyone's got any questions, then we will go below. So it's obviously covered in this episode about your gut health, process of elimination, getting feedback from your body, and just being all round aware. And sometimes, like we've said, sometimes having that big bloated feeling, it's absolutely worth it if it's social event or whatever. And don't feel that guilt or punishment. Just get movement in and go again.
Definitely.
Are we all good? Has anyone got anything else to add?
No, all good.
No.
We will see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.